In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a block in one-point perspective. The first thing we're going to do is draw our horizon line. The horizon line is the place where the sky meets the ground. And this horizon line is always there, even if you're inside a room, it's always going to be there. It may just be that you cannot see it because it's being blocked by a wall. So we will imagine that this is outside and this is where the sky meets the ground. So what we want to do is first draw the face of our block, and we want to make sure that we have vertical and horizontal lines. Otherwise, it's going to look like our block is leaning. So what I'm going to do is take this right angle tool, and this is the right angle, and when I need a vertical line, I'm going to line the bottom edge up with the bottom of the paper, and this is going to give me a vertical line. Okay? So then I will turn the tool when I need a horizontal line, and this line will be lined up here with the edge of the paper. And so I'll draw the horizontal. If you need to, if you're getting close to the edge of the paper, you can flip it. Okay, so I'll get rid of the extra lines. Okay, so there's the face of our block. Then we're going to need a vanishing point. In linear perspective, all of the edges of the object or the building appear to recede into the distance to a vanishing point. So what we want to do is draw from each corner to the vanishing point. Okay. So now we're going to have the side and the top of the block. And you'll decide where you want the back of your block to be. So I'm going to make the back corner of it right about here, but I want to close the block and make sure that the back side of my block, the vertical edge of the block, is going to be perfectly vertical. So again, I'm lining up the bottom edge of the tool right here with the bottom of the page to make the vertical. And then one trick is to always make sure your pencil's really sharp. I'm going to hold this tip of the pencil in place, and then I'm going to pivot the tool as I line it up. As soon as it's lined up, I'll draw the line. Then I don't need the rest of these guidelines. Okay, so now let's imagine that this block is transparent, meaning we can see the back edges of the block. So we know that this back edge here, this back bottom edge, will be hidden, but if we could see through the block, then we know it would be coming from here. So I'm going to stick the tip for the vanishing point and line it up here. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then now we know where the bottom face is going to be, but now we have to determine where the back edge is. We know that this is the back corner of the block, but we know that this line needs to extend out. All right, so all of these edges are going to be parallel, which means since these are horizontal, then this line needs to be horizontal. So what I'll do is stick my pencil point here, and then I will pivot the tool and get it lined up properly with the edge of the paper here, and then draw the back edge of the box. Now that this is done, this gives me the location of the back corner. So I have this edge, and now I need this edge. So lining up the bottom edge with this point, now I will draw the vertical line. I will erase the guidelines, and now I have a box where I can see through. Okay, so we have a block here that's got all sides appearing to head towards the vanishing point in the distance. So depending on the point of view of the block, we may have a block in the sky. If the object is above the horizon line, then we will have a different viewpoint. So you'll see in just a moment that we will actually now see the bottom of the block, and we will not be able to see the top of the block. Using the same vanishing point, I'm going to stick the point and rotate. Okay, now I'm going to decide, I'm going to make this a little skinny block, so this is where I want this back corner to be. Again, making sure that it's vertical. I've lined this up with the top of the page to give me a vertical line here. I'm going to rotate it. I need a horizontal line here, so I'm sticking the point there and rotating until I get this edge lined up here, and that gives me a horizontal line. Okay, so now we don't see the top of the block, we see only the bottom and the front and the side. Now watch as I draw several more blocks, and depending on where I place the block in relationship to the vanishing point, we'll get different viewpoints of the block. Okay, so notice when we have a block directly under the vanishing point, we don't see either side. We only see the top and the front. It would also be true if it were directly above the vanishing point, that we would only see the bottom and the front. Another way to show space and create the illusion of depth on your paper is to use overlapping. Because this one is in front of the horizon line, I can erase the horizon line. Notice how the top of this block is very close to the level of the horizon line. This is why we don't see very much of the top of the block at all. We hardly see any. Another way to show space and create the illusion of depth on your paper is the placement of objects on the page. Notice how objects that appear closer to us are lower on the page. Objects that appear farther away are higher on the page. Now, one thing to make sure you do is make sure objects that are farther away, make sure the bottoms of those objects are actually higher on the page than the back of the objects that are in front of them. In other words, it would not make sense if this bottom of this block was lower than this block. That wouldn't make sense because this is behind the block, but then this would appear in front of the block. All right, so now you know how to draw blocks in one-point perspective. Take a moment to determine what is wrong with this block. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is when they are closing off the back of the box, they are not remembering to line this up here. This may be tilted. Notice this is not lined up here, and so that means this block is not vertical on the back corner. So how to fix that is to erase the line, reposition the tool, and draw the vertical line. This gives you the new position for the back, and again, the reason this looks off is because this was not made to be horizontal. You can see the tool is crooked here, and so what we need to do is reposition the tool to line up with this back corner and the edge of the page, and then we create the horizontal line.